As you noted, bless you, as you noted in your opening comments, this is the second time in just 8 months that we're here discussing a misuse of customer seg funds, a theft of customer seg funds by an FCM. This time involving Peregrine. There's a shortfall of approximately $200 million. This fraud was perpetrated through a sea of forged bank documents. Peregrine was required to report on a daily basis to NFA the amount of customer funds it was holding and where those funds were being held. Those reports were false, and they were supported by forged daily bank activity statements, forged monthly statements, forged confirmation letters, forged deposit slips, forged certified checks, and forged bank confirmation notices. We began our most recent exam of Peregrine in mid-June, and as part of that process, we, very early on in the examination, informed the firm that we were switching our bank confirmation process, that in the past we had used a traditional bank confirmation process in which Peregrine would sign a document authorizing the banks, all of its banks, to release certain information to NFA. We would then take those documents, mail them to the bank would mail the response directly to NFA, and we would compare what the bank was telling us with what the firm was telling us. We told Peregrine that we were switching from that to this e-confirmation process that we began using in January. It's a web-based e-confirmation process. We told the firm that the firm would have to authorize its participation in that e-confirmation process. Mr. Wassendorf Sr. Executed that authorization on Sunday, July 8th, and the following day he attempted suicide, leaving a note describing the bank forgeries. As soon as we were notified of that event, there was an immediate phone call, a teleconference between the CFTC, NFA, and Peregrine personnel. As of the previous Friday, Peregrine had reported to us that they were holding approximately $380 million in customer funds, with over half of that, about $200 million, being held at U.S. Bank, the office in Cedar Falls. During the teleconference on that Monday morning, we immediately instructed the firm personnel to go to the bank and get the bank manager on the phone. And when we had him on the phone, he told us that the actual balance in the account as of the previous Friday was approximately $5 million. We then told him that we had written confirmations from the bank from our 2 previous audits, and would he please confirm balances for those dates, for our audit dates for those 2 previous years, 2011 and 2010. For each of those 2 dates, he again told us that the confirmations that we had were false and that they had been similarly inflated. What we draw from all of this are the same painful lessons that we learned in MF Global. The facts that are undeniable are that customers have to know that their funds are safe. Number 2, it's up to the regulators, both at a governmental level and a self-regulatory level, to provide the highest level of assurance of that we can. Number 3, we followed standard audit procedures in our examinations of Peregrine, including the bank confirmation process, and those standard audit procedures just weren't good enough. He beat us. He fooled us. He fooled us for too long. We have to do better. We have to find a better way of monitoring members for compliance with all the requirements, but especially customer segregated funds. We began that process immediately after MF Global. We formed both a special committee of our public directors at NFA and a committee of self-regulatory organizations with the CME. And we began developing sets of rules. Mr. Duffy described some of them. Mr. Gensler described some of them that have already gone to our board of directors. But we also began working on rules to make better use of technology to monitor SEG compliance. And at our August board meeting, our board will consider a rule that will require all FCMs to provide the regulators with direct, view-only, online access to all customer SEG bank accounts, so that we can go in and check a balance at the bank anytime we want, for any bank we want, for any FCM we want, without contacting either the firm or the bank. Beyond that, we hope to build a system, we will build a system that takes the e-confirmation process that uncovered this fraud and essentially turn it into a daily event. We need to get reports on a daily basis from all the depositories holding customer segregated funds, banks, FCMs, money market funds, whatever the permissible investments are, wherever those depositories are, they have to file daily reports with regulators which the regulators can then, on an automated basis, compare with the reports we receive from the firms to generate alerts regarding any suspicious discrepancies. We look forward to working with Congress, with the Commission, with the industry, and with all the stakeholders to ensure that we tighten these systems. We know we can't eliminate fraud, but we'll continue to strive to do that. And Senator, if I could ask your indulgence for 1 second. On the first panel, Senator Grassley raised a question about a comment, a quote, a story in the Wall Street Journal that said that, that I had said that it was not NFA's role to detect fraud. Senator, I've been at NFA for 29 years, and I'll guarantee you that I've not only never said that, I've never thought that. Detection of fraud, combating fraud in the futures industry has been central to our mission for the last 30 years, and it remains so today. Secondly, with respect to the red flags that Senator Harkin and others have asked, if it would be helpful, I could just submit a written statement outlining our responses to each of the instances that were noted in the press or here today.